Good morning. It is raining here and dark outside, so I have my overhead light on, and I wanted to talk this morning about something called Shibui, and Shibui is something that I've been studying for a while, and it informs a lot of my work and also my life. And it is a Japanese aesthetic quality within the whole big realm of Japanese aesthetics. And I want to read you something from a website called Unique Japan. And every now and then, I've read so many things about Shibui, and there isn't a lot, but I read everything I can find. And every now and then I Google it again and see if I find anything new. And yesterday I found this website, and I loved, it brought a different element to me, and it sort of affirmed what I feel but never read before, and it connected it to my seeing drawing practice and my belief in documenting the natural world as we see it and learning how to do that. So I want to read that to you, and then I'm going to start a new live video because for some reason they cut off after a while, and I really wanted to also do a seeing drawing exercise of this beautiful stone that a friend gave to me, that she brought back from a trip to Italy. It's just beautiful. I have several of these stones. I don't know, I just love them. I've drawn them many, many times, but this one I have not, so I would like to draw that in a little while, and I'll come back and talk about that when I'm done. But I wanted to read this to you first. Have a sip of coffee. I have a scratchy throat. So, Shibui. The Japanese aesthetic of Shibui draws upon silent, subtle, and unobtrusive qualities. A person, performance, or an object can be considered Shibui. Each are authentic and appealing without the need for decoration. This is the Shibui ideal. Something Shibui, although seemingly simplistic, reveals the complex and intricate variables in nature that make our world unique. Its intent is to evoke awareness and appreciation for life as it is, seeing the implicit beauty in what has come to be considered ordinary or mundane. The word mundane, in its Latin form mundus, actually means the world. Would we say the world is ordinary? The very existence of our world and everything in it is extraordinary, including ourselves. The Shibui aesthetic opens our eyes to the beauty of real life, the everyday miracles of nature. And this so reminded me of the idea that truth is beauty, and how things really are is really beautiful. So back to the article. Art termed Shibui is designed with a purpose, to merge nature with day-to-day living. Every form and detail is designed to contribute toward a whole experience. For example, the wave in the grain of a structural post, the uneven texture of a tea bowl, the solitary blossom in a flower arrangement. Natural elements help to connect and realign us with nature on a subconscious level. Yanagi Soetsu, a philosopher and founder of the Japanese folk craft movement, refers to Shibui as a refined taste, an understanding we arrive at over time. And my own words here, I personally find that is very, very true, that over time our taste becomes more refined. In his book, The Unknown Craftsman, which is a book I highly recommend to anyone who has an artistic practice, Yanagi challenges conventional ideas of art and beauty, exploring the Japanese appreciation for objects that are born and not made. Quote, "The world abounds with different aspects of beauty. The lovely, the powerful, the gay, the smart, all belong to the beautiful. Each person, according to his disposition and environment, will feel a special affinity to one or another aspect. But when his taste grows more refined, he will necessarily arrive at a beauty which is Shibui. Many a term serves to denote the secret of beauty, but this is the final word," unquote. And that was from Yanagi Soetsu, who lived from 1889 to 1961. So it goes through and it talks about different expressions of Shibui. And it talks about Ikebana, which is the Japanese art of floral arranging. And it says, "Ikebana demonstrates the Shibui aesthetic by drawing attention to the everyday life around us that often goes unnoticed." So it could be as simple as a stone, right? And John Ruskin said, "Let our art be the praise of the things that we love, be it even a stone or a shell," right? So familiar materials presented in unfamiliar ways ask us to slow down and look again, closer. Through observation, intricate details reveal meaning. We begin to see the world and ourselves as an integral part of it with clarity. And oh my goodness, that is exactly why I do what I do and why I encourage others to do a seeing drawing practice. So then it talks about Shibui in pottery, and it also in architecture. Talks about the art of Frank Lloyd Wright and his organic approach to architecture. And I wanted to read this. Shibui describes a profound, unassuming, quiet feeling. It is unobtrusive and unostentatious. It may have hidden attainments, but they are not paraded or displayed. The form is simple and must have been arrived at with an economy of means. Shibui is never complicated or contrived. Shibui beauty, as in the beauty of the tea ceremony, is beauty that makes an artist of the viewer." I love that. So the end of it was written by Donna Canning, and she is an Ikebana artist in the United States, I believe. And she says, "Anyone, anywhere can think Shibui. It is an approach to life, an attitude that notices and values the beauty in every day. The simple truth is, as part of nature, our lives are enhanced when we connect with it." And then she makes some suggestions for all of us on how we can reconnect to the simple truth and the beauty in our everyday lives. She says, "Recognize and disregard unnecessary distractions. Remove excess clutter from your surroundings." I need to do that big time. Step outside, walk in nature more often. Let this be your preferred form of transport. Notice seasonal changes, details in nature that signal change and encourage growth. The will of a roadside flower in early spring, for example. The will of the dandelion that can grow through a crack in the sidewalk with no soil. So notice those things. And she encourages us to invite nature inside. This could be as simple as placing a single branch or leaf in places that you spend time. And I'm surrounded by that. I don't know about you, but I bring nature in all the time to a point where it might be considered cluttered. So I have to work on that. She says to make subtle adjustments to interior spaces to echo the season, change the colors and textures of your accessories, a simple, effective way to refresh and inspire. She says, where possible, use handcrafted items. So I've learned the more that I use handcrafted items, the more appreciation is imbued into my practices. And so I have a handmade book, and I have handmade paints, and I have handmade paper, and I have a couple handmade brushes, handmade flower elixirs, and all of the things and handmade pottery, and my little bowls I used to paint from, and my meditation practices. All of those things imbue our practice with creativity and a life force that we can't get with things that are mass produced. I have to say, this water glass is the one I use all the time for painting when I'm not using my little bowls for my meditation practice. And it's a mass-produced glass, but my husband etched it with the word dandelion on it. And you can't see it, but it's there. So in a way, it has the energy of the handmade. And then she says, take quiet time alone every day, no matter how brief. And boy, I believe that with all my heart. All my heart. And then she says, create something with nature for the pure enjoyment of the process, and the outcome will be imperfectly beautiful. Think about that. Create something with nature for the pure enjoyment of the process. The outcome will be imperfectly beautiful. I love that. And that's what I'm going to do. Nature in my paints, nature in my brushes, nature in my subject, nature in my book, all handmade. So I'm going to turn this off and sort of warm my coffee up, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to paint this stone. And I'm going to be using my Lotus Blue Book Arts kata made from handmade paper. I'm going to be using my Wild Thorn gemstone and mineral paints because in my heart, these paints embody Shibui. They really do. And I'm also going to be using this beautiful Star White handmade paint from Earth Mineral Arts. Also embodies Shibui. Okay, so I'm going to turn this off and then I'll be back in a little while. Okay, so I think it's dry enough, and I'm just going to add some of this star white. It wasn't dry enough to do that before. So I tried to leave areas white, the white of the paper. And it was a little thick in places, but that's okay. I love this white paint from Earth Mineral Arts. It's really hard to find one that stays white once you put it on top of other paint. And this one does really beautifully. And I could go back with some gray paint and snug these up later when it dries, just to make them finer the way I see it in the rock. And I might, or I might not. I always find I'm probably not burnishing correctly, and I get a little feathering, but honestly, it's actually kind of beautiful, the edges. We can yeah. So my Instagram live video got cut off short, as it sometimes does, and I'm not sure why, but I'm suspect to think that it's because we have very unreliable Wi-Fi. So I am going to finish this, and as I was saying before, which I think got cut off, I was trying to leave the white of the paper, and I did, and then I used the beautiful star white from Earth Mineral Arts to add a little bit more. But I think I'm going to go back with some gray. I'm actually going to use the charcoal black and sort of snug up these lines as I see them. And it's tricky because you don't want to ruin the texture that you got from the beautiful mineral paints. And then I can go back with some star white. I don't know if that's helping or not. Maybe. This might be a new brush. This is another Chinese brush. It just says, it says Lang Guai S, so small. And I like it for very fine work. It's a very delicate brush. So even the best white paint is never as white as the paper, and you'll learn this. And that is one reason why watercolorists do not use white very often, is it can never really give you the same kind of white that you would get with the white of the paper. But the mix between the two is really nice, and it also lends a little bit of texture that's lovely with things like a stone. I always used a white gouache when I needed a little bit of white, and I have to say this Star White is much better. So I don't know what magic Margot works with her beautiful pigments, but it's a really good white. I don't think I want to do too much more, but I might add a little bit more of the Star White. So I hope that you found the idea of Shibui as interesting as I do. And I hope that you'll look it up and do your own reading about it. It's really a lovely idea. And it has been really vital to my own practice. And to my own life. So I think that's it for today. And if you don't follow me on Instagram, and if you're not on Instagram, I highly recommend it. It is my dose of inspiration throughout every day. It is such a wonderful community, and I find it very lifting and fulfilling and sustaining. And I do share a lot of live videos, and I don't always upload them to YouTube, but I thought I would this one because this idea is something that I really want to continue to share, and so I can refer people back to this video for that piece that I read in the beginning. But I hope you will look up Shibui. It's spelled S-H-I-B-U-I. There's quite a bit on the internet. The Wikipedia entry is great, but it's sort of like a wormhole. You find one thing and then it leads to another, and there are many, many books about it as well that I have read. My favorite being The Unknown Craftsman. So anyways, that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks.